episode of Comic Penciling. This is episode 12. It's been a long time. Today it's all about portfolios and making an awesome portfolio, a kick-ass portfolio even. That way you can get a good job as a penciler or just the line art guy on a book, or even if you just want to do illustration. But this is more about comic penciling and storytelling. So what you're looking at right now is me working on samples for New York Comic Con, which I just got back from. And I'll talk about that a little later, what happened. But for now, you're watching me just go through the pages as I worked. I took some video of me setting up, me doing some time-lapse videos of rendering, and just overall getting the work done. So in this short amount of time, I'm going to run through things that I found were helpful and so on about making a portfolio that's good, and all the advice I got from the convention. So before I went, I pretty much got to thinking, and there's different ways to go about setting up your portfolio for comics. There's a couple schools of thought. One, well, first of all, the portfolio is broken up into either a couple stories or one long story, or the way I went is I think the Marvel school of thought is to break it up into threes. So 3 stories, 3 pages each, and that's 9 pages. I think a portfolio should be less than 10 or less than 12. I forget what that advice I heard, but I ended up having 3 stories, 3 pages each, and that way you get to, instead of cramming everything into one story and trying to get all the different things you need to have shown in your pages all in one shot, you end up with an easier time of putting everything in to the same portfolio. It's just not as stressful with and forced, really. It seems forced if you try to do it all in one story. Like, okay, this character, he's running through a zoo, but then he runs and he has got to fly through space at the same time, the same story. Because the whole point of a portfolio is to show what you can do. And anyway, it's another thing. So what I do is sets of 3. So this is my first set, which is the Batman Beyond story. 3 pages. I had a script, and I worked on it from the script, and essentially I just did this set of 3, and I did my own set of 3 from my own comic, and another set of 3 I worked on for another guy. So this one's like a sci-fi one. My other one is kind of also sci-fi, but more about the tech part of it, where this is kind of more superhero-y because it's Batman. And then my last one is kind of personal and in one room, kind of talking heads style. Anyway, you're watching me work on the first page here. When you set up your portfolio, you might want to go with the long story and try to fit everything in. I know people have sample scripts that are, really condensed and kind of get everything all into one thing. But like I said, I think that's a little forced, so I like to do small little sets. And so that's probably number 1. Pick your overall flow you want for your portfolio, and then go about picking your best pieces. And finding what's your best work is kind of a subjective thing, and also difficult to find I guess the right opinions to rely on. So you might want to go talk to a lot of people, show your work to a lot of people, and not like tens of people, just a few trusted mentors or at least people you trust artistically, to figure out if you have the right work in your portfolio. So I paid a guy to do one, a guy online to look at it, and I've got a couple good friends that I trust, and a couple other mentors that are in the industry that give me good critiques. So that's what how I went about it to find my best pages. And a little break from that in the video right now is me working on the second page, and you might have seen this on Instagram if you follow me. If you don't follow me, you can see videos like this a lot of the time where I time lapse what I'm working on. Anyway, this is me rendering out the finishes on one of the pages, and it turned out pretty good. I think I changed it a little bit from this point because it looked a little detached from the body, but anyway, so you need to figure out what your best piece is and exclude, anything that you're doubting on, even just the slightest doubt, is a good sign that you should probably pull it out. So the first thing I learned at the convention was, this is not my first convention, but it's my first New York Comic Con, and it's got a pretty big artist alley, and I just went to not a no-name guy, but somebody that's not super famous, just wanted to get his opinion, and he spent a lot of time with me, and he gave me a good critique, even wrote it down for me, and I pretty much learned that I should pull out some of the work that I had in my portfolio. It was some inking work that I did, and I thought it was good, but he thought it would bring my work down, and so I kind of went with the instincts, my small little instincts that I have, and went to a corner in the convention, just pulled everything out, reorganized, and reset up my portfolio. So you might want to do something like that when you go to a convention. But that's the first thing I kind of learned, was just that everyone's going to have their own opinion, and this guy, just kind of rang true with what he was saying, and I thought it was good advice, so I pulled it out, and all my future encounters were pretty good. I went to only the Sunday events because I just didn't buy tickets early enough, so I missed out on some. And so I really missed out on submitting to DC and Marvel, but then again, there'll be other opportunities for that. And I did want to submit to way more people and just talk to and get good critiques and network a little bit, talk to some editors, which I did get to do. So after I re-sorted things out at this convention, I just went around trying to get more critiques, and I've got some good leads and good feedback from a lot of good artists in the industry, and even some potential work that might come my way. So going to conventions obviously is a good thing, but like I said, if you have a good portfolio, it's gonna really give you a better experience when you're out there. And so really focus on doing your best work, and that comes from study and all the rest. That's not what I'm covering really in this video, but everything bases back on that, like how good is your anatomy and storytelling and professionalism and line work and general skill and the rest of it, perfecting your craft. But once you all have that down, then putting it all together in a good portfolio and kind of getting all the kinks out is really important. So trying to figure out any other things I should tell you as far as conventions, what to expect. Obviously there's a lot of busyness, so you want to be really courteous to people, and especially artists that are trying to make sales and make commissions and whatnot. So wait in line, don't cut people, don't act like you've been waiting forever. You're there trying to get kind of free advice and just network, so be as personable as you can, just like you normally would in any other encounter with anyone else. Just imagine that you're just trying to be friendly, and it pretty much goes smoothly. But a lot of times you gotta wait in line because there's so many people, especially at New York Comic Con. You're waiting in line a lot, so you kind of wait your turn, even jump into some signing lines and just ask for advice instead of getting a book signed, which is a little deceiving. But I did that with Sean Gordon Murphy and got a critique from him instead of getting a book signed, which actually in the end, I did buy something from him because I felt bad. I wanted him to come away with something for his time. So, what else can you do? Pretty much setting yourself up for success will include preparing takeaways for other people. So business cards, postcards if you want to make them. And that one guy that gave me a critique in the beginning that told me to pull up the Inked-Work, he also said print out like a pamphlet, almost like a really small version of your work, like a little booklet. So it's all your portfolio in a little small version. I haven't seen it done a lot, and I don't think it's super necessary, but I think it's cool. I think it's another edge that you could use for your advantage. So printing out all your work in really small sizes and media will really help them remember who you are and the rest. So that's some good advice. So takeaways, you want to give them, like I said, business cards, postcards, one of those little manual things with your work on it, your portfolio on it would be good. And maybe just full size. I gave people full size versions of my samples, which is kind of cumbersome since it's 11 by 17, but I think my work is best viewed large, so that's why I went that route. If your work looks better small, go smaller, whatever works for you. And yeah, just take criticism well. You know, you're not a pro, and remember that in like a few years you're gonna look back on your work now and probably think it's crap. I mean, if you're not thinking your work is subpar now and you're not looking at it analytically, then you're not really doing your own self justice for your own growth anyway. So remember that you're always growing, and everyone there knows a lot more than you. They do a lot more work and have been in the industry way more than you. Take their advice, and all these things you take back with you, and when you're back home and you do your next set of samples, or you do the work that you were able to pick up, you incorporate it all into one, and you make just yourself kind of compoundedly better and better and better until you have more and more polished work, and then your critiques will get less and less critical. But some other advice for making an awesome portfolio, I'd say research what, not as popular, but research who you're showing it to. Maybe have different sets for different places. Like I should have had a different set for Xenoscope, which is known for foxy ladies, and that's pinups, and that's what they do. And you may want to just grab all your pinup kind of stuff and your kind of flashy girl-oriented work for them and give them a separate portfolio than everyone else. That's probably some good advice. I didn't have much of that at all, so my submission was the same. So I'm not expecting anything from them, but if they call, they call. And when you're at a convention, I would take everyone's advice. Not take, but like ask for everyone's advice. Go to even the smallest, unexperienced person and see what they think, because at the very least you're going to pick up a fan. If they're not that knowledgeable and they're not that great at what you are at what they do, then they might just like your work more. And that's usually my take on things. So try to get everyone's opinion. Just remember, in your own mind, you're going to kind of isolate what's good, what's bad, and what do you accept as a valid criticism, and what to ignore. So let's see. As you're watching me do this, this is my splash page almost image of Batman flying through Neo Gotham. And anytime you're doing this kind of pose, you're it's tough. Because the foreshortening to worry about and everything else is tough to get right. So get it right. Get it right as you can, and then move on. But it's a lot of erasing on this page. So I haven't been to a whole lot of conventions, but it's really important if you don't have a booth, especially, that you come prepared, because you're not super set up. You don't have a little area where you can keep things, so you got to bring everything in a backpack and be prepared to kind of have it organized and easy to grab out of your backpack and show people. And just remember, you never know where your next job or next connection is going to come from, your next mentor. So talk to everyone as if they have, well, in general, if you're a nice person, you should treat people this way anyway. It's just like, treat everyone as if they have something important to say, and they probably do, and you should listen to them as such. So anyway, all good advice. So to recap, figure out what you want to put in your portfolio, and the best way to do that is first decide how long you want it to be, which there's kind of a standard there, and then figure out if you want to do a long story where you get same characters all the way through all the pages, or something where you split it up in half, or 3 sets of 3 like I did. And I like 3 sets of 3 because you also get to be a little more choosy about what you put in. If you're worried about, you want to draw some animals, but you don't want your whole portfolio to be talking, turtles or, whatever it may be, then go the route where you do smaller sets, and then you're able to do a little more variety of things. So once you get that right and figure it out, go about doing your panels or your pages, and you don't have to necessarily do it from scratch. You might have all this work done. Like a lot of the work I did have done already, and I just made this new set of 3 for this appearance, and it worked out pretty well. Like I said, I got some good feedback and maybe leads on doing some books, so hopefully that comes through. But on the other end, you need to be prepared for anything. So make a book or make a portfolio that is kind of versatile, and I think the set of 3 is the way to go, at least for my style. And so once you're back, I would suggest you write down some notes after the day's done or the weekend's done at the convention, and as you go, that way you don't have to remember everything that's going on and that people told you. Remember to get business cards, remember to give people business cards, and get everything in writing as much as you can, because you're not going to remember anything while you're out there. So and this is just from my experience, but there's a lot of different ways to do this, what I'm talking about, and get things right, and act right, and pull off the convention with some sort of success. So even take my words as with a grain of salt. So video is nearing done. I think this is the last video where I finish up this splash image. I don't think I finished it up, but I definitely get this hand done. And so let's see. As long as you come back with not everything written down, but with things that you're not forgetting, maybe you have a photogenic memory, but come back with like your notes, your business cards that you grab from people, your whatever, your submissions with critiques on them or whatever. Come back with something, you have something to work on, and that's the important thing. So that's pretty much it. Make some good work, study, and finesse your portfolio, and pretty much people will notice. That's all you really have to do. So with that being said, I'm glad I could do another video. I haven't done one, like I said, in a while. It's been, you know, more than a month for sure, but plan to do more. I've got a lot more other videos that I'm working on the side. Like my little Instagram videos are pretty cool, so if you're not following, check that out. Jump on my website to see these pages finished. Comment and let me know what you want to see, what you want to talk about in the comments, and like the video if you like it. Otherwise, you know, enjoy your comic convention experience, regardless if you get good feedback or bad feedback. You know, it's always fun to be out there and meet people and network. So network with me, subscribe if you like. Hope to see you guys out there in conventions and that sort of thing. Make your kick-ass portfolio. And yeah, I'll see you next time.